Hi guys, thank you again for joining us in our monthly Tech Hour session. As you know, this session is actually brought to you by the Singapore Community Society Technopreneurship, SIG, ACE, and Stream Global. We do this once a month, every second Wednesday of the month, and we usually have one or two, usually two speakers who will share their experiences on the relevant topics for startup as well as smaller ICT. And thank you so much for actually helping us organize this Zoom conference. And I'm sure after this, you will be the in-house expert in virtual conferences in SCS. Right? This month, we're actually very fortunate at the two individuals. One startup founder, Jiarong, and the other, well, you could say he's also working for a very big startup, lah, and that is Zhang, right? As I was chatting with Jiarong the other day, and we were talking about tools that startups could use, some for free, some for a very low fee, and some, of course, is very expensive, right? And that's how this session was inspired, right? Looking to help startups and small SMEs, right, to actually look at tools that could actually help them to either increase their productivity or to make their process more efficient, right? However, there are just too many tools out there. So what we have decided to do is just to choose one tool, which is collaboration tool. A collaboration tool is something that we could use to video conference, we can actually phone call, we can send messages, we can share documents, we can even do a simple workflow, right, on it, right? So we thought that, we would choose a tool and really talk about something about tools. So that's why we're very lucky today to have two individuals, one who actually works with the tool, and the other Jiarong, who actually selected to use with the tool, right? Maybe what I'll do is that let me introduce them and let them say a little bit about themselves. Well, Jiarong is a founder and a solution director at Noggin.ai, right? He is really very passionate about engaging the youth, and ever since I know Jiarong for a few years, 5 or 6 years ago, he has always been extremely passionate about helping youth and students to actually go into coding and cultivate their interest in IT. Right, he's actually very active. He currently contributes as a SCS IT Youth Council member. I think you're the VP now, right? If
I
I'm not
am the VP,
mistaken.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and perhaps maybe Jerry, you want to say something about yourself?
Yep. So hello everyone. My name is Jiarong. As what Chuck actually shares, so what I do, on a day-to-day basis is actually lead the solutions team. We focus on the implementation of the Noggin product, and also basically we focus on helping our customers digitize their business. So in a very quick summary, what Noggin is actually a product that focuses on individual data analytics, as well as privacy preservation. Yep. So
Great. The other gentleman is Zhedong. Zhedong actually is working for a very large startup called Lark, right? They are actually related to a company called ByteDance. I got to know Zhedong because I wanted to understand a little bit about the Lark tool, and he was nice enough to actually have a coffee with me and share with me what Lark is all about and what they were trying to do, right? He actually has been working not only in Singapore, and the last assignment was in Hong Kong, and he has been actually working there and traveling through China. So now he's back in Singapore working as a territory manager for Lark Technologies. Maybe so you can say something about yourself and perhaps about Lark Technology as well.
Sure, thanks, Chuck. Hi, everyone. My name is Zhidong. So now I'm actually managing the Singapore territory for Lark. I've been with Lark for actually close to 2 years. So actually here at Lark, we try to support a lot of startups as well as enterprise to actually do digital transformation to help them with our collaboration platform, and also to help them to actually share some of the internal best practices we have in ByteDance in terms of collaboration, how to actually build a transparent and collaborative culture with the community here.
Yeah, very good. Okay, I must emphasize this, right? SCS do not actually endorse one particular product, and I invited both Jiarong and Zedong because I think they have a lot to share. Yes, we are talking about one tool, but there are many tools out there that's available. And that's really, my first question to Jiarong, right? You have been using quite a lot of tools as a startup, right? Trello, some of the check-in, check-out tools, what tools have you been using, and how do you end up with Lark,
Yeah. So actually, that's a very good question. So I think running a startup, right, we do have a lot of processes that we follow, right? And that I classify tools, in a few categories, right? So one such is actually communications. There is others that, like for example, project management. There is also storage, HR, finance, and most importantly, your email as well. So some of the tools that we actually used for communications is, Slack for really just really communicating on a day-to-day basis. We actually use Discord for video sharing, screen sharing, right? So the team actually shares their codes and everything, and we actually use Discord. We use Zoom for video conferencing. Then after that, for project management, we actually use Trello. We have also tried other tools like Monday.com, and a lot of others. We also use Google Drive for storage, HR Partner for HR tools, Wave apps for finances, and Zoho for mail actually, right? So if you are following me to based on the list that I have today, each tool actually requires a certain level of maintenance, and that was actually one of the challenges that we faced. Right, so imagine a new staff comes on board and I was like, okay, please onboard yourself on HR Partner. And then after that, you have to download Discord, you have to download Slack, you have to download Zoom, you have to go and register an account in Trello. Then do you have a Google account? So these were some of the problems that actually surfaced along the way as we implemented as we use all these tools. And then one day, one of my staff actually say, Jiarong, why not we have a look at Lark? It is a new solution offering, and these are some of the features that actually, and it does solve some of the problems that we face today, and that's where we actually experimented, and in the end, we decided to go on to Lark, because what it does is it basically consolidates all the tools into one platform. When a staff comes on board, please download Lark, register an account on Lark, join the team, then they're on board already. Yeah, so that's really how we landed into being into using Lark today.
Well, I think while you mentioned new, right? I think Lark is not as new as we think it is. I mean, it has been around,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Maybe what Zhang you can share a little bit about a Lark, so that at least we can understand, right? Why did ByteDance actually spin off Lark, right? And how can Lark actually help startup,
Yeah, of course. So I think as Jiarong mentioned, Lark actually we were built in from a all-in-one super app kind of concept. I think nowadays many people are already familiar with the super app concept we know from Grab, from Gojek, or even WeChat. There are a lot of functionalities actually built into one application. But when ByteDance first started back in 2012, we were almost like what Jiarong has mentioned. We were using all different sort of tools. That time we started with Skype for our instant messaging, and we use a lot of Microsoft Word at that time, and we also use OKR tools. Initially it was on spreadsheet, then we moved to some of the other OKR tools. So I think one challenges we were facing at that time is ByteDance as a company, actually we are growing very fast. We actually wanted to have a global vision and also try to have actually a global presence. At that time, we do need to actually consolidate all these requirements into one single application. And the other reason is we feel that actually we were wasting a lot of time for the employees to actually switch in between different applications. And also by using multiple tools, it actually create a lot of silos. That was the challenges actually we were facing at that time. And that was actually back in 2016, we decided to actually build our own all-in-one kind of collaboration suite to have all the functionalities into one super application. And the other reason actually behind why we actually created this tool is as a company, we do place a lot of importance for the internal tools we use. So other than all the other applications, consumer-facing application we created like TikTok and others, we do actually place a lot of importance on the internal tools we use. We even have a dedicated department only looking after the internal tools, and we try to use the best tools available in the market because we believe in the organization or in a startup. Actually, the tool you use is almost like the weapons to the military in the battlefield. So actually it can help you a lot with the tools you use, and the tools you use also will change the user behavior. Just to share some of the examples, when we were actually using Microsoft Word, there is no collaboration at all. You tend to actually edit your own document, then you share the document, the contents with other colleagues through email or through even WhatsApp or chat. And when we move from Microsoft Word to a Google Docs, automatically the collaboration part actually comes in. So because of the co-editing feature, online documentations, so people tend to actually collaborate and work together on the documents. And the other thing is when we shift from internal email communication to an instant messaging platform, that also actually speed up the kind of a communication and information flow within the organization. Because in email, you really don't need to actually reply very fast. You can actually just receive the email, then after some time you just reply. But instant messaging is the speed is actually faster for kind of information flow. That's how actually we see the tools can really impact and change the behavior of the users and also the organization culture. So that's actually when we decided we need to actually build a new global tool, Lark, to actually have all the functionalities. And back in 2017, we actually onboarded all our global staff internally from ByteDance. And in 2017 and 18, we actually added more and more features into the platform. And in 2019, that time we already see that the platform is already mature enough. We even did a comparison with some of the other similar products in the market. We are confident to actually launch this product as a SaaS global SaaS product. So back in 2019, we decided to actually launch this product globally, and we even selected Singapore as our global HQ to run the entire business of Lark. That's kind of a background.
So that's interesting, Zhidong. So what you're saying is that actually Lark was born out of an internal IT department in ByteDance, right?
Right.
And now what ByteDance has done is that they have actually taken out the whole entire internal IT department, form a new organization called Lark, right, and put it at the headquarters in Singapore.
Yeah, so Lark initially it was an internal tool to support only for ByteDance, but then as the tool actually matures, and also as a company, we also finding new ways to actually generate revenues and also all the new applications to create. We are not only focusing on the consumer business, but also we are trying to move into enterprise business as well.
So given that you are headquartered in Singapore, I assume that your servers are also international, right? They're not based only in China, right? I mean,
Yeah, for Lark actually we hosted on AWS currently.
okay,
The server location is based in US.
it's been in US, okay. So basically, it's being politically not correct. I mean, there is perception that where people are worried about data being kept, in a server in China, for example, right? Basically, for you guys, whoever that subscribe to Lark, the data are all in AWS.
Right, that part is guaranteed.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting, right? Jiarong, you mentioned that you had a lot of tools that you choose, right? Okay, what are the important criteria you use, right, to choose tools for startup? I mean, yes, Lark is interesting in the sense that it brings all into one, right? But let's say, for example, a check-in, check-out tool, which is different from what Lark is doing, right? Even your office automation tool, right? Whether it's going to be Google or Google Sheets or Microsoft Word or whatever it would be, right? What are the different criteria you use, right, to actually choose the tool for you?
Yeah, so I mean, whenever there are a lot of tools that are coming up. I'll be honest with you. If you go into appsumo.com, you can find a ton of free tools, and you pay them on a one-off basis, right? But not all tools actually suit the business, right? So one of the things that we actually look out for is this tool a good fit? What kind of features does it have? Does it suit the kind of processes that we have established, right? That's one. On top of that, we also look at cost, of course. Is there anything that as our company, is still not very big, right? What would the cost be like? And in the event that say we were to expand, we were to increase our headcounts, what would the cost be like? One of the most important thing that we actually look at is also at maintenance, right? Just like any other IT solutions, when we develop any IT solutions, it's as though you have a baby, right? So you have to take care of it, you have to nurture it, and to make sure that it's still it's growing steadily. So we also have to make sure that the maintenance, we actually can easily maintain the application, right? In terms of administration, if there is any troubleshooting, what are the things that we can do with that? Another factor that we have is actually implementation, right? So how easy it is for me to migrate or to implement the entire solution. If as a startup we are pretty lean, we can change very quickly. But in the event where we become 100 people, in the event we become 200 people, 200 staff, right? What would be the kind of migration procedures like, and this in and out, right? And last but not least is integration, right? Because we do software. So one of the very important thing that we look at is that, this is a tool that we use today, but we do also want to develop our tools, our own internal tools, and they should actually integrate with these solutions that we have, right? So as long if let's say we are not able to integrate with them, then that would actually that might actually affect some of our productivity in the future as well. Yeah. So these are actually some of the key points that we look at, in assessing a tool, if let's say this is actually a good fit for us or not.
Okay, guys, for everybody out there, if you have any question, please put the questions onto the chat function so that I can actually ask the guys. Okay, Zhidong, based on your what you hear from let's say Jiarong, right? What type of support, right, Lark could actually provide, right, to onboard startups in Singapore in the region, right? And I understand you guys have a free copy for startup to try, right? What are the criteria and when do you start charging? Because like Jiarong said, the biggest worry is that everybody go on it for free, and then suddenly the costs blow up, right? So I think those are the concerns startup and smaller SME would have now when they go up. Well, how would Lark actually support functionalities like that, in Singapore and also in the region?
Sure. I think the one very good thing about Lark is actually we headquartered here in Singapore. So we do have, apart from the commercial team, we also have the support team, customer success, and also we do have R&D centers located in Singapore as well. And to support our customers, actually we take a kind of a quite different approach, I would say. If you compare with some of the other solution providers, because one thing is we are actually an Asian product. We try to understand the needs from Asia or ASEAN kind of a perspective, what actually the customer needs or startup needs. And we do take a lot of feedback from our customers because as for product, we are also new to the market. We just launched our product back in 2019, just 2 years. If you ask Jiarong, actually, we do have a chat group together, and almost every day he's actually giving me a lot of feedback, sometimes reporting some bugs, and we do take consideration of our customer feedback, and some of the new features or new development or enhancement was actually from our customers' feedback. So that's actually how we value. We do a customer first approach, especially in this market. And talking about some of the onboarding support or the pricing plan, again, very good question. So we do have a free version which the startup can directly start to use. And the other thing I wanted to share is actually the free plan was actually priced at a certain dollar value prior to COVID. And during COVID, actually, our management decided to support more and more startups in the region or SMEs so that that's when actually we decided to give the previously paid business version free of a cost to support more and more businesses to actually pivot during the COVID season. And apart from the free subscription, we do have some of the add-on items which is chargeable. Things like cloud storage and third-party application integration add-ons, you can actually use us to connect to other applications. So some of the components, actually, we do have a pricing plan behind it. But what we're trying to do is to enable the local startups to use the free or standard version as much as possible. And I think right now a lot of startups are already onboarded and they are pretty happy with the free plan.
Okay. Are you guys targeting smaller SMEs as well? I mean, in addition to technology startups, because I think one of the interesting thing that you mentioned, right, is certainly I honestly heard about Lark because of COVID, right? Because we're all sharing and looking at working at different locations, right? I mean, you mentioned you can use Google Doc to share documents and collaborate. I find that someone actually introduced me to Lark, and we were all sharing document with a Word document, right? Even using the Word document under the Lark environment, right? We all could see who is doing what, in each section, right? And I've tried it on Microsoft Word as well as Microsoft Access spreadsheet, So I think that's actually very, very interesting. So would you guys be also reaching out to SMEs, and organizations like that?
Yeah, actually we do. I think one key difference is for tech startup, usually they are able to do self-onboarding. Before using Lark, they are already using some similar tools like Slack. They are already very familiar with the instant messaging kind of set. But for SMEs, their requirements are slightly kind of different. I think many are still requiring things like Chuck, you just mentioned about check-in, check-out, or some attendance features. Those things actually are SME kind of requirement, and we do have the application capability to support that part as well. And our team can also support them to do trainings or onboardings for the SMEs. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So actually, it's really for all organizations and not only for tech startups, I suppose.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So let me ask you guys, right? This is a question for both of you, right? What would be your advice, right, to startups and new entrepreneurs, right, when they're looking out for tools to increase their productivity and ease of operation? Maybe Zhang, you want to start with that?
Yep. So I mean, what are the tools or advice that I can give, right?
Yes.
I think very first thing I mentioned earlier in my sharing is about process. I think as a startup, even though we are very lean, I think it's good habit and good hygiene to actually have processes, right? To develop the process along the way. Because from the processes, the way that effectively you can actually bring in anyone and they can actually follow up. They can follow up from there. Any new stuff can come in and follow the process. Developing the processes, that's where complexity will come in, right? Even though before you come on board, you need to fill in this form, you need to submit this, you need to submit that, and so on and so forth. All of this actually brings in complexity. While it makes sure that your things are being done proper, right? This complexity, that's when you identify gaps in the areas, and that's how you decide, okay, these are the kind of features that I'm looking for. So one such example would actually be during COVID, right? We were not able to actually, I mean, we are all homebound in a way, right? So there was the circuit breaker period, and all of us couldn't leave the office, right? So we have interns coming in, we have new staffs coming in. Question would then be, how are they going to sign our employment contract, for example, right? So luckily for us, when we look at HR partner, we notice that actually they have a e-signature kind of feature, right? Basically, we can upload our PDF, draw some text fields, or draw a box over there and say, ask the person to sign on this field. So that actually helped us in some of the things. But you will never know that you need this feature until you establish these processes, right? So that's where I come in. So I think 3 points to really point out is that processes are important. So establish your processes first, right? And processes, you have to acknowledge that it brings complexity. And last but not least, to identify tools really to help you to ease this complexity. So there are a few places that we look up. I think a lot of channels for you to look for tools. Even technopreneurship special interest group is one place for you to look out for. I also mentioned about AppSumo, right? These are up and coming tools that are a platform that you can actually look for really good productivity.
So Jiarong, let me ask you, right? Okay, Sumo is really flooded with apps. I mean, there are
Yes.
so many apps out there around the world that just list, right?
Yep.
Does it make sense for, let's say, in Singapore, for us to maintain a list, right, of the most popularly used apps, right? I mean, there are only a few that we get, and that everybody uses, right? So the question is that, should we, I'm asking in general now, maybe the Technopreneur group should to come up with a list lah,
Actually, that is a very good idea. I mean, one of the things that really help us, right, as we look for tools, we also read articles, right? So we look at articles that compares between a few platforms that basically all are HR tools, for example, and then they in the articles they raise the pros and cons of the solutions. That also does that actually do help us make a decision faster and really be more informed when making a decision as well. So yes, if technopreneurship actually have something like this, that would definitely be very helpful to the startup ecosystem.
Let us consider that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a question that's out there from my friend Vinod, right? He says that it actually Lark sounds very interesting. So what is your experience, right, in migrating over to Lark from your current tools?
Right. So actually the migration into Lark was pretty smooth. I have to say definitely they came with problems, right? But basically, and let me just give everyone a little bit of background, right? Prior to Noggin, I actually run a startup, a software development house as well, right? And we actually have email from Zoho. Noggin actually has email from Google Mail, right? So one of the things that we actually had to do was to migrate all of these emails into that one platform. And that was and basically while they did pose some challenges, the team in Lark actually supported us very very closely, and they actually resolved out the problems that we have very very quickly as well. So the experience was actually good. Migrating documents from Google Drive into our Lark platform was very seamless as well. They actually built this application that you just need to hook it up and then you can very quickly upload your stuff. With regards to establishing all the departments and everything, maintenance was also pretty smooth. So the experience was good.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have a very strong team to support as well.
Okay, so maybe the same question to Zhang, right, is that your advice on entrepreneur on looking at tools, right? Of course, you will be talking about Lark, Tell us a little bit of what Lark can do, right? In a perspective that you would perhaps maybe could even answer Steven's question. Steven is asking whether are there product stack reference model, right? Because it says that in many tech organizations there are product stack that help teams to focus on building apps and not to worry about supporting, CI, DC, and PM tools, right? What would your view be, right, from the Lark standpoint to help developers?
Right. So I think first thing is I think when selecting a tool, especially for startups, you need also consider the flexibility the tool can give you, especially nowadays during pandemic, a lot of countries are still kind of in movement control. So I think Singapore, we are one of the luckiest country, so we already kind of shifted to a more flexible working arrangement. Previously, we were all sort of remote working or working from home. Nowadays, we slowly coming back to office. So I think what the collaboration tool can support a startup is to really support a flexible working arrangement, especially during the kind of a meeting scenarios. I think in a recent interview with Elon Musk, he was sharing the CEOs actually should spend less time in conference rooms, spend less time doing the PowerPoints, but focus on the product to build a better product. So I think if you don't use PowerPoint slides, if you don't actually spend less time in conference rooms, how can actually you can still maintain the productivity level? Actually, this part, the good tool can actually help you. So one of the practice we have internally is to do silent reading meetings. So for our all internal meetings, mostly we use a document as a reference guide. So before the meeting, right, everyone just put their thoughts and their discussion points into the meeting documents. And in every meeting, we spend the first 15 to 20 minutes to silent reading. So all the participants just read through the documents and put their comments, and we already start discussion even at the start of the meetings. So in this way, actually, a tool can help you to turn a sequential meeting to a parallel meeting. So everyone just read at the same time, which can actually save you a lot of time and to improve the productivity. And the other scenarios we also practice, you don't need to necessarily use Lark, but just to share some of the practices we actually have, we think is quite useful, is we practice asynchronous communication. So for example, if you look at our calendars nowadays, most of people actually, we do see a very full calendar every day from morning to evening, a lot of meetings. But really, if we take a step back and think how many meetings are really productive, and do I need to attend all those meetings? So the other key thing actually we practice here within our company is we don't need to necessarily call everybody into a meeting room or into a virtual meeting because it's really very costly if you consider everybody's time. Instead of what we do is we do try to use as much documents as possible to put our thoughts into documents, and easily we can share within the group, and we call it asynchronous communication. So it doesn't need to necessarily bring everyone into the same room. In practicing this, just to share a real example. So one of the rollout project actually I was involved in requires collaboration between Singapore team, China team, and also team in Europe. We are all in different time zones, and it's a very large scale kind of rollout we are actually doing. And in this kind of a skill project, we are able to maintain the cadence meeting just every 2 weeks. So in between the 2 weeks, we all do asynchronous communication. Everything we do on documents, and only we catch up once in 2 weeks time. And even for the two bi-weekly meetings, not everyone will attend. So what we do is we record the meeting. So by using our auto meeting minutes features, the meeting recording will be converted to a transcript. So for someone who is really busy, don't have time to actually watch the recording, can just go through the transcript and it will automatically understand what actually happened in the meeting. So I think this part is also very important. The tool should also carry some of the best practices to actually encourage collaborative, to support a flexible working arrangement, and also to support some of the asynchronous communication kind of methodology. You can use all different sort of tools, but actually I think those areas are important for startup to consider. And the other thing is also to always look for the future. I think I still remember our co-founder was sharing when ByteDance was having about 1,000 people. So the co-founder was asking the HR head, can the current HR system support 5,000 or 10,000 employees? The HR head actually asked back to the co-founder, are we really considering, we only have 1,000 people, why are we actually considering to support 10,000? And you know what? Actually, today we have 100,000 employees all across the world. So you never know how fast a startup can actually grow. And from our customers, example is Caro, which is a local startup in Singapore. They were also our customers. And last year during COVID, they had a very huge growth. They even acquired companies in Malaysia. And only when actually they started to actually expand and grow really fast, all other sort of collaboration, communication, cross-border problem start to surface. And for ByteDance, we actually do this consolidation in 2016, which is 4 years down the road. And I think if startup, you can actually think from earlier days how to actually do consolidation, how to actually look out for the future. That will actually benefit the company a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned Caro. Actually, Aaron was one of the speakers in TecHour, I think a year plus or 2 years ago, right? He actually shared how he did his startup and what he does in Caro. Quite interesting. Actually, specifically for Stephen's question, right, in terms of product stack and all. Actually, if you think about it, if I can understand Jiarong, right, Lark is actually a communication and collaboration tool. So you will still need your tool like Jira, your GitHub, and so on, right, to do the deployment and do the and everything else. But I think my understanding, if I'm not wrong, Jiarong, is that actually you guys connect to those tools, right, like Slack and Jira and all, so that the communications will then flow back into the central database, right? But the actual control of the software and like you say, maybe product stack, is actually outside using a specific tool, right? But using the collaboration tool and the communication tool in Lark, right? There's some actually interfaces that you guys already have, and that's what you spoke of earlier, that you could buy those interfaces into all the other tools, if I'm not mistaken, right? You mentioned.
Right. So actually, what we do is we also act as apart from collaboration, we also act as a aggregator to other applications. So for example, you mentioned about Jira, Trello, all those applications. Actually, we do have a connector. So to an end user perspective, what the benefits we can bring to the end user is he doesn't need to actually install all different sort of applications. Can directly use Lark to do a login, or we can use bot kind of connectors and also mini app connectors to other applications. For example, Jira, we do have a standard mini application. You can actually perform some transactions. You can update the tickets directly from Lark. And to an IT or company level, is also give you a flexibility and security to the organization. For example, you don't need to actually maintain separate sort of accounts, password for different applications. We can do SSO login from Lark to all different sort of applications. So actually that reduces the number of apps need to be installed for the employees.
Interesting. I mean, LPX has a question, has a comment that says that silent reading is good only if everyone agreed to have the same discipline. I guess you're right. I mean, maybe it's interesting because I think while we're all waiting for meeting like just now, some of you were here a few minutes earlier. We were listening to music, right? Maybe we should put some silent reading up for everybody else, right? And see what is happening, right? So I think that is quite an interesting thought, coming from there, right? Okay. Let me see. Keep asking questions. Questions good. Comments are good. We love to actually hear from you guys. Maybe what I'll do is that perhaps I could begin to wrap up by actually asking you guys, right? Okay. So what's next for you, Jiarong, and what's next for you in Lark, in Zedong, So Jiarong, what's next for you?
Yeah, so I think what we do today, we have built a product, that that really wants to enable businesses to understand more about their customers and their users, right? I think today a lot of businesses, just my own observation is that we are all busy in the operations today, such that we may lose sight of the customers that we serve. And that what Noggin really wants to do today is to really enable businesses to understand more about their customers, right? Through an easy means of collecting data, really securing the data, right? So, and from there, we want to enable organizations to further develop their own insights, right? So based on the data that you collect on the platform, what kind of insights can you learn? What kind of insights can you develop? And moving forward, right, that's when we want to enable businesses to share the insights. So that's really what that's what we want to do and move forward in Noggin.
Yeah. So from the perspective of the tools, right? I mean, you volunteer in ITYC, right? Would I guess it's a non-starter question, because the question then is that would these kind of tools beyond Lark will also help you in your voluntary work, I mean, that's the other question I'm trying to think through.
Well, actually, to a certain extent, they do, right? But there are also solutions out there that help us, right?
Right.
So another startup that we know of is called Ubuntu, right? So Ubuntu actually helps us in our volunteer management systems and all this kind of stuff also. As a volunteer organization, one of the challenges is that how do we keep this data? Because in ITU Council, technically we belong to SES, right? So SES is supposedly the custodian of the data. Yeah, so that is one of the considerations that we have. So by leveraging on tools like Ubuntu and all this, it actually allows us to do that. But yes, we definitely can explore using tools like Lark and others into our communication.
Steven has one more question, but before I go to Steven's question, maybe what's next for you, Zedong, for Lark?
Sure. I think one thing is we definitely will continue to improve our products to do more enhancement. Actually, there are a lot of exciting things, especially some AI kind of AI-based features will be released very soon. And also, we are also looking at meeting room solutions to further actually expand our product stack. And the other thing is we will continue to hear back from our customers to collect more insights and also to integrate more with the local startup community, and hopefully to also do more events with the SES as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You speak right into my heart. All the SES US. Okay, so Stephen has this question, right? What are your thoughts on project management versus product management? There are some quarters that thinks that product management will render project management less relevant. Okay, let me start first, right? Okay, because I actually am a adjunct in ISS on a strategic digital product management course, right? My personal view, right, is that there is really a huge shortage of product managers in Singapore, right? Digital product managers. So what does that mean? What it means is that for as a country, we have been actually working with many MNCs and SMEs that doesn't really create many digital product until the last 10 years, right? So therefore, we don't really have the skills coming, we don't have a long history of those skills. I actually think that, project management is a subset of product management. In fact, project management is a subset for many other things, right? Because you need to run projects, but a product manager has a different function altogether, because the product manager's function looks at the product from birth till sunset, right? Meaning that, I need to look at the user, I need to look at the functions, I need to look at the release dates, I need to look at managing the users as well as managing the developers. Whereas project management is just specifically managing a project within the product management. So that's how I feel, right? So there's not really product management will make project management less relevant. I think my personal view is I hope one day a project manager can become, because he has better understanding of the context, he can become a product manager, right? I mean, that's my view. I mean, what do you guys think?
I actually wanted to add on to what Chuck has shared, right? So in summary, what I see product management and project management. Product management is about what to build for your users. Project management is about building it up, right? So a subset of it, I think these two actually work hand in hand together. And that really especially for us, we in Noggin we do have a product roadmap as well. And then in that product roadmap, we break it down to, okay, this is the project that we're gonna be working on right now. We want to implement this feature. Then the project management comes in, right? So I'm not. My personal view is that I don't think so. It will render it less relevant. In fact, actually, it makes it even more relevant.
Yeah, also agree with Jiarong. I think definitely these two work hands in hand. Especially for us, we are definitely a product company. We are SaaS product. We also try to build our product more comprehensive and cover as more functions as possible. But at the same time, when we talk about large-scale digital transformation project, it definitely requires the knowledge and skill set of project management to actually roll out how the product can be also customized to a customer's needs.
Yeah, and LPX commented that project manager cannot evolve the product. Yes, I think really project manager is a very I would say focused function to make the project deliver on time, on budget, right? Yeah, that's right. Whereas I think hopefully one day, a project manager, right, can evolve into something beyond just project management, but other functions within the organization. So it's as good as can a CIO be a CEO, or can a CFO be a CEO, right? I mean, not every project manager can be a product manager, but I think really it is about the aspiration of the individual, right? Yes, Annie mentioned that project management is program management to portfolio management, right? T-shaped project managers are always appreciated wherever they go. You are absolutely right. I mean, it's not only about understanding managing a project, it's about understanding your environment, understanding the product, understanding your customers and so on, to make you a more successful project managers, right? All right. Any other questions from anybody else? Any other comment? Right. If not, guys, I really appreciate you guys spending the lunch with us. In the past, I used to buy pizza for everybody. Since now we are virtually, right? So you guys have to buy your own pizza. But certainly we would like to catch up, whenever we can. I do hope that, sometime this year we can run a physical event for the Technopreneurship SIG. Jiarong, really thank you so much for taking time to speak to us and sharing with us your perspective. Hope all the success you have, Jiarong, as well as Jiarong. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Right.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time. Everybody else, thank you so much. There are many events in SCS, so please check our website, scs.org.sg, org.sg, so that you can actually see what events that we run. This is only one of the few events that we run. We run on the average about almost 3 events a week, right? So things like this, or things that are either within the chapters, the SIGs, or as a whole. All right. Thank you so much. I see you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you.
See you guys. I hope